right, guys, it's time to break down and react to all the PFF grades here in Week 7. The Green Bay Packers snuck away with yet another close victory over the Arizona Cardinals, 27-23. And now the Green Bay Packers are one of 3 teams pending tonight, Buccaneers versus Lions, that only have 1 loss on the season and are still at the very, very top of the NFC North. Can't complain much about that. So today, we're going to look at all the PFF grades, advanced analytics, and everything in between for this Week 7 matchup. If this sort of thing does interest you, I'd highly suggest going down and clicking the subscribe button, completely free to do, and it will keep you in the loop with everything you'll need for your Green Bay Packers. So definitely go hit that subscribe button. And quickly, before we dive in, I did want to go over my sleeper picks for the matchup tonight, Lions versus Buccaneers. First off, go Buccaneers. And if you want to check out Sleeper, link down in the description. Use code BASS when signing up, and that'll get you a 100% deposit match up to $100. And they're also offering a great promo. New users get a free $20 play. No deposit needed. So if you want to go check it out, and if you want to make some picks for both of tonight's games, you can definitely do that. Mine are as follows. There's a Jared Goff free pick, more than a half a passing yard. That's obviously a lock there. I have Baker Mayfield, more than 1.5 passing touchdowns. I think he'll throw 2 or more tonight. I have Cade Otton, more than 3.5 receptions. And then I have David Montgomery, more than 10.5 rushing attempts. So again, big shout out to Sleeper. Definitely go check them out. Link down in the description. All right, guys, so let's dive right into this thing, and we'll start on the Packers offense. Why not? So some of the players that I think will have higher grades, I think Josh Jacobs, phenomenal game from him. Romeo Doubs, Mr. Consistent. And then also Jordan Love, started a little bit shaky at the beginning, but when it mattered in the end, he made every single throw he needed to. So let's dive right into these grades. And we actually have 2 linemen at the very top here, and Jordan Love pretty damn low. So, I expected Jordan Love to be upwards, high 60s, maybe low 70s, but there's not many players above 70 on this offense, and a lot would agree early in this game, this offense struggled more than it should have. And Zach Tom at the top here is great to see, returning from that oblique injury, kind of been playing through it. It's been rough a little bit, but he turned it around in this game and had a phenomenal game, it seems. 74.3 overall grade. Rasheed Walker on the left side. This is good to see. Haven't seen him up near the top at all this season, so that's great to see here. 72.1. Josh Jacobs is near the top as I expected. 71.2. Just feels like when Josh Jacobs is on fire, all of the offensive issues go away. We're just like, okay, now our offense is rolling because Josh Jacobs is in rhythm. It gives short and manageable situations for the offense, and we can rotate into play action, which has worked wonderfully for this offense. Matthew Golden near the top, 67.1. Started that first drive with 3 receptions, and then the rest of the game only got 1 more target, 1 more reception. I just think, and I keep saying it, sound like a broken record, but Matthew Golden needs like 6 to 8 targets no matter what every single game. That's what we're giving to Romeo Doubs, and we should continue that, but, we should give more targets to Matthew Golden as well, and Romeo Doubs is right below him, 65.8. Aaron Banks, nice little grade here, especially in the pass blocking game. He's been our lowest graded lineman throughout this entire season, so nice to see a little bit of a bounce back here. Tucker Kraft, they're finally giving him good pass blocking grade, but still giving him a low run blocking grade, which, again, I don't understand because I feel like every time they run towards Tucker Kraft, he's out there blocking his ass off, and it just doesn't make sense to me that PFF always grades him low run blocking. Maybe I'm missing something, but watching the broadcast, I feel like I see him multiple times a game put in a really nice block in the run game. Emmanuel Wilson, who saw more snaps, so with Josh Jacobs hurt, he saw 31 snaps, nursing that calf injury, and Emmanuel Wilson went and saw 19 in this game. Chris Brooks saw 7. Elton Jenkins at center, below average grade. Savion Williams saw 4 snaps, 55.0. Tay Wicks saw 15 snaps, 53.8. Jordan Love had a 53.5 grade. Again, there were definitely early on in this game throws that he has to make. The deep post to Doubs on the 2nd, 4th down of the first drive. A couple other throws that he just completely missed. And he seemed a little bit off in this game. But again, at the end, we did what we needed to do, drove down, scored a touchdown to go up by 4 and win this game. So that's all that matters. Malik Heath, 50.6. John Fitzpatrick, 46.0. Luke Musgrave, 42.3. I mean, just the diminishing role of Luke Musgrave and what he could be in this offense. And I just don't know what's going on, but it's unfortunate. But at least we do have Tucker Kraft to kind of dampen that blow a little bit. But I really wish Luke Musgrave could get going because this guy can be a mismatch. But I don't know. It just seems like it's not really clicking there. And then Jordan Morgan was our lowest graded guard after a really solid week last week. Now, he had a really good pass blocking grade, but that run blocking grade was very, very poor, a 27.3. And that's where I saw him shine last week, was in his run blocking game. So that's a little unfortunate to see, a down week here when he finally got the full-time start. Last week, they put in Sean Ryan for a drive or two. This week, 0 Sean Ryan, all Jordan Morgan, and he's our lowest graded player. Now, as for pass blocking, this offensive line I thought did a great job. There wasn't too many pressures allowed. Rasheed Walker allowed 3, Zach Tom 2, Elton Jenkins, Aaron Banks, and Jordan Morgan all allowed 1 pressure each, and that 1 sack on Jordan Love is tied to Rasheed Walker. All things considered, 8 pressures and 1 sack. I think that's a great performance by the offensive line. They gave Jordan Love enough time when it mattered, so good job by them. Then to look at the advanced passing analytics, you can see passing pressure when Jordan Love was kept clean. He was 18 of 22, an 81.8 completion percentage, 172 yards, a touchdown. Then you see under pressure. This has been a problem for Jordan Love all year. His passer rating when under pressure has been very, very poor, and you could see it, 1 for 7, 7 yards when under pressure. So, when teams bring pressure, and obviously this goes for any quarterback in the NFL, if you have pressure in your face, you're simply not going to play as well as you do when you don't have pressure in your face. But Love has to do a little bit better of still making the throws. Like there are, times when you see quarterbacks get pressured in their face and they still stand tall and make a really nice throw. And I think Love has to get a little bit better at that. But same thing for not blitzed and when blitzed, kind of this, similar story there. Play action, Love was 3 for 5, 40 yards and a touchdown. On screen plays, he was 3 for 3. So, when you watch the game, you're like, why are we running so many screens? Then you go back and look at the stats, you're like, oh, okay, we only ran 3 screens. Puts it into a little bit of a perspective there when we're sitting here going, why are we running so many screens? And then you see, okay, we only ran 3 for 22 yards. But passing depth, Love was 0 for 2 from 20 plus. Again, needed to connect on those, especially that Dobbs post. He was 4 for 5 on medium, so that's really nice to see there. Short, 12 for 16, and behind line of scrimmage, 3 for 3. All right, so now let's go and flip on over to the defensive side of the football. Obviously, Micah Parsons should be at the very tippy top. What a game by him. His best game as a Green Bay Packer, arguably his best game as a pro, with 3 sacks in this game. One coming at the most clutch situation at the end of the game there. He came off the sideline, full of gas and just bam, right past Williams, the right tackle, and took out Brissett and made that a much harder situation for them that it was before that play. So I think Parsons at the top. I really liked what I saw from Colby Wooden. He's been doing a phenomenal job filling in at nose tackle for us. And then I also think Quay Walker had one of his better games as a Packer, but we'll see what these grades are. So going into defense, Micah and Colby Wooden. Wow, I expected Colby Wooden near the top. I did not expect 86.0. But Micah Parsons, 92.6. And Quay Walker, okay. Quay Walker got a 58.6. Make it make sense. They do have him as a very poor run defense grade. To me, I mean, of course, it looked like a great game from Quay Walker because he was doing such a great job pass rushing, and he had a career high 5 total pressures. So maybe that's why my view on Quay in this game is a little bit misconstrued here. I still think he shouldn't have a below 60 grade. But back to the top, Micah Parsons, 92.6, 8 pressures, 3 sacks, 2 hits, 3 hurries, 1 tackle, 4 stops. I mean, he's by far been the best player on this defense, and it's really not close, as he should be. You traded 2 first-round picks for him. And all the Cowboys fans and other fans around the NFL saying the Packers made a bad move with this trade. Where are they at now? Because without Micah Parsons, I 100% believe the Packers are not 4-1-1. And I think that's a fact. Colby Wooden, 86.0. 3 pressures, 4 tackles, and 4 stops. Man, what a game for him out of nose tackle. Played 42 snaps. He's becoming, a very solid contributor on this defensive line, especially with Wyatt gone. I know they play 2 different positions, but really leaning on him in the middle of that defensive line, and he's stepping up. Love to see it for Colby Wooden. Same with Isaiah McDuffie. This guy's been getting more snaps as the season has gone on. You could see it here, right? He did have 18 week 1. It went down to 7, then 22, 23, down to 6, then 32 this week. So Packers, play a little bit more base in this game, and then also when Quay had to drop out for a little bit, you saw more Isaiah McDuffie. And against the run, he's been really good. He's been really, really good. 80.2 grade here. Run defense, 72.9. Tackle grade, 78.9. He had 5 tackles, 0 miss, and 4 stops. really have liked what I've seen from Isaiah McDuffie as that rotational, base linebacker, like strong side backer when teams want to run, and he's out there defending the run well. Xavier McKinney finally gets a good grade. Probably his best on the year, I believe. Yep, his best on the year, 77.9. You can see some of the other weeks. Hasn't really made that splash play yet, but at the same time, not targeted a crazy bunch. He was targeted 3 times in this game. We'll go after coverages or go over coverages right after this. Javon Bullard finally gets a good grade. I mean, I've loved what I've seen from Javon Bullard this year so far, so I'm glad the grades are starting to respect that and show that as well, because I think Javon Bullard's had an excellent year too, in my honest opinion. Carl Brooks, 70.8, had 5 pressures. I feel like Carl Brooks is so consistent in terms of a pass rusher. He's not good against the run. He gets moved a lot, but in terms of pass rushing, Carl Brooks is good for like 4 to 5 pressures every single game, and he also had 2 tackles here. He did miss 1. That's why his tackle grade's so low. JJ Nigbari, 64.1. Rashawn Gary had 4 pressures, a sack, and of course that forced fumble when we needed it the most. He showed up, and that play was actually made by Colby Wooden. He had instant pressure up the middle. Then Brissett had to move, get left, and then Rashawn Gary hit him from behind. The rest is history. So that play was actually made by Colby Wooden if you watch it back. Evan Williams, I liked the game from him. I thought his grade would also be higher, 63.0. Good tackle grade, though. 5 tackles, 0 missed. Warren Brinson playing a lot more snaps in this game than we usually see. Carrington Valentine, 2 snaps. I don't know what happened this past week. I don't know if it's discipline from hitting the gritty on Jamar Chase on 3rd and 5 when they're going to go for it on 4th the next play. Which they scored on. Again, it wasn't on Valentine on that, but I don't get it considering how poorly Nate Hobbs was playing in this game, and honestly how poorly he's kind of played all year. I don't get it. Sure, Carrington Valentine hasn't been perfect, but I feel like he would have had a better game than Nate Hobbs in this one. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments, your speculation on why Valentine got put in the doghouse in this game, because you could see the rest of the year, even week 1, obviously with Hobbs being out, 67 snaps, and since then it's just diminished almost every single week, and to 2 snaps, I don't get it. I think Valentine has good upside, and Hobbs, a lot of people argued, is a nickel corner. That's where he played his best at Las Vegas. I thought he could, do decently well on the outside. It hasn't looked the case. So do the Packers need to go out and make a trade or sign someone? Maybe, we'll see. But clearly something's going on with the Carrington Valentine. I just don't really know what that is. Stackhouse saw 14 snaps here. Quay Walker, again, we already kind of went over. Pass rush grade of 91.6 with 2 pressures, and I think he had a sack and a half. PFF doesn't list half sacks for some reason. Keyshawn, and then we see our corners all the way at the bottom here. Nixon, only allowed 3 receptions on 5 targets, which again, we'll go over it here in a second. He was our better of the 2 corners, but our corners overall got picked on in this game. Tyron Hopper came in for 3 plays and did have a stop, so it's only 3 plays, but I did like what I saw from him. So, 55.5 grade. Okay, whatever. Edgerrin Cooper towards the bottom here is a little bit surprising to me. I wouldn't expect him to be like all the way towards the top or anything, but I would expect him to be, mid 60s, maybe low 70s, but that's not the case in terms of PFF. Nate Hobbs towards the bottom. This one definitely checks out. I think he was definitely the most hated player on the defense yesterday from Packers fans, and rightfully so. 47.9, poor tackle grade, poor coverage grade, and then at the very bottom is Barron Sorrell, who actually played in 30 defensive snaps due to Lucas Van Ness being out of this game, but didn't record a single stat, which is a little unfortunate because when Sorrell has been out there in small doses, he's looked really good. So unfortunate that he had the most snaps he had all year and didn't record a single stat when he's had in prior games like 8 snaps and had 2 pressures in those 8 snaps. So just a down game for him here in week 7. So now going over coverages, let's go over all that was allowed by linebackers and defensive backs for the Green Bay Packers. Quay Walker allowed 5 receptions on 7 targets, 32 yards, a 6.4 average. Edgerrin Cooper allowed 4 catches on 5 targets for 38 yards, 9.5 average, but he did have that wonderful pass breakup up the seam on Trey McBride where he pretty much tracked it and, roboted back towards the tight end, tracked him all the way down the field, and broke that thing up right at the goal line. That was great to see from him. Nate Hobbs allowed 4 catches on 5 targets for 87 yards, a 21.8 yards per reception. Now, the one to Marvin Harrison on, I think it was a 3rd down, it might have been 3rd and 13. As much as Nate Hobbs didn't have a good game, when you watch that back, I think it's 3rd and 13, and the Packers come out and press man on that side with no safety help. Like, if you're going to press on that side, at least have a safety over the top, because you're going against Marvin Harrison, who's a solid receiver, and it's against Nate Hobbs. It just seemed like a weird call from Hafley to finally run press man on the one side, but on a 3rd and 13 with zero safety help. Like, all Marvin had to do was get off the line quickly, get a good release, and run right by Nate Hobbs, which is exactly what he did, and that's why they completed and converted that first down. So as much as it was poor coverage, didn't really like the scheme there on 3rd down to just give Nate Hobbs zero help, who's been playing poor in the game. Didn't really make sense to me there. Nixon, he allowed 3 catches on 5 targets for 30 yards. Not the worst. Again, he was the better of the 2 cornerbacks, but our cornerbacks still definitely got picked on. Evan Williams allowed 2 catches on 3 targets for 46 yards. That deep one to Zay Jones on, was it 3rd and 23? Barely got by his fingertips. Just a crazy play by Brissett and Zay Jones. Javon Bullard only allowed 3 catches on 3 targets for 13 yards. Again, very good game from him, and I've loved what I've seen from him here in year 2. Xavier McKinney did get targeted 3 times, so everyone's saying, X isn't playing well, and because he's not being targeted. Well, he is. It's not much. 3 catches for 30 yards is not much, but he is being targeted, but he does need to make that splash play. He needs to do that for sure. McDuffie, 1 catch on 2 targets for 3 yards, and those are all the coverages. I just wanted to quickly look at the Arizona Cardinals grades. You can see Paris Johnson, the left tackle, was their highest graded player, 78.2, and I would assume Jonah Williams, and Beachum. I guess Beachum came in at tackle at some point. He had 14 snaps, or guard, I don't know. They listed him as a left tackle, but he could have had some snaps at guard. But yeah, Jonah Williams, as much as Micah Parsons took his lunch money, I don't understand how the Cardinals didn't give him any help. It's just coaching malpractice. But yeah, Micah Parsons definitely got the better of Jonah Williams later in this game. That's for sure. And then for their defensive grades, Calais Campbell near the top. I mean, this guy simply doesn't age. Jalen Thompson, their safety, 81.3. Towards the bottom, Deidrean Taylor Demerson, Will Johnson, 44.3. I think he had, 3 penalties in this game. Zaven Collins near the bottom as well. Then to quickly go over special teams grades for the Packers, Chris Brooks, Nick Nyman, Baron Sorrell at the top. Nick Nyman had 2 tackles. He's been a phenomenal add for our special teams this year. Javon Bullard and Chris Brooks also had a tackle. And then we have Oladapo, Enigbare, Bo Melton, and Isaiah McDuffie all with a missed tackle on special teams. The penalties coming from Oladapo and Aaron Mosby. And of course, I just want to show this real quick because a 90.6 grade for Lucas Haversick, who has been perfect. 10 for 10 field goals and extra points for the Green Bay Packers since being added in Brandon McManus's absence. And it just feels so nice to not only have Brandon McManus on this team, but when he got hurt, have another kicker come in and be perfect. Like, where was this for the past 5 years? Ever since Mason Crosby pretty much retired. We've been missing this, definitely, and it's a breath of fresh air. So that does it for all the PFF grades, Week 7 Packers versus Cardinals. The Packers keep squeaking away with wins, and they're 4-1-1, and they're at the top of the NFC North. There's some things to clean up on both offense, defense, special teams, that's for sure. I don't think there would be a team in the NFL that doesn't say there's things they need to clean up, and the Packers hopefully will get better, learn from their miscues, their mistakes in each game, but even with the amount of mistakes and miscues, they're still walking away with W's, and in the end, that's what matters. But I really appreciate you guys coming by to the channel. If you did enjoy the video, I would really appreciate it if you went down and hit the like button. It helps support the channel, helps with the whole YouTube algorithm. But I'll catch you all on the next one. Thanks for watching, and as always, go Pack Go.